Gatram Pashenakshapenachatraha Sthirairangai Stushtuvatum Sastanumvihi Vyashena Devahitayadayuhu Swastina Indro Vriddashavaha Swastina Pusha Vishvavedaha Swastina Staksho Arishtanemihi Swastino Brahaspati Dadatu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll try this again and see.
After the books, it's been sitting out, so
Yeah.
probably on
I'm glad it was at the feathers.
I can't think of feathers.
Thank you. Pomegranate.
It's okay.
One more button. Have to go upstairs again.
Oh, can I get one?
I don't know where it is. Glasses.
Not a new outfit. So it's one more button on each side of them. Okay, fine. Put it in the basket.
We're starting with the new one in universe. I have 49.
Oh, it's this one. Page number 49.
I know, and my page numbers are off.
Yeah. Is it 49?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's 211. Yeah. Yeah.
And why do I not have that bar?
Because it's a new chapter.
No, I just because I'm it's long numbers. Seems like the little mountains. Never looked at. What is the last piece we ended? I must have been trained in if I come back. They don't really start up when Bridget comes in, he
On
does
this page.
It's the previous
Oh,
page.
do we start there? No.
We start reading.
Yeah.
Veronica and we
We'll show
should see
this part. We haven't done this yet.
You didn't have it marked.
This is not like that.
Sit. Okay.
What is it? It's okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah. We are starting a new section today in the Mundaka Upanishad. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The new section is the teaching from a particular standpoint, and the standpoint of negating the attributes and thereby affirming what remains after the attributes are negated. What remains? Chaitanya, I, consciousness, which is the truth of oneself, which is the truth of the creation, which is the truth of Creator. So this is a particular methodology, na iti, neti neti methodology, because what is the understanding or the cognition of what is often obfuscated by what? By the various nama-rupas. It's very difficult to see because you cannot see it, it's not an object. It's very difficult to know it as oneself, as the subject, because of this intervening nama-rupas. And so the Shruti here uses a very effective and an ingenious method to show that which cannot be seen, to make that known, that which is already known. Lots of paradoxes. It's already known as I, it is very familiar. And to make that, to demonstrate that which is not an object of experience as the very content of the experiencer and all experiences. So therefore the second khanda means portion of this Mundaka is begun. And writing about this, Adi Shankara has a few things to say. We will see that later. But a couple of more things. This. So the second, not khanda, this is the second Mundaka, first khanda. Khanda means portion. So the second chapter is begun. A few things about arriving at this particular place in the Upanishad. It's a marker, something to be celebrated, because last time what happened, the student approached the teacher, in the story, correct? Guru Upasadanam took place, the student approached the teacher and then asked for the knowledge, and the teacher also, seeing that the student was qualified, had no reason to refuse, and all the Shama, Dhamma, etc. was discussed, Daya, all these things. And so we stopped at a very auspicious point. The chapter closes at a very Shubha, auspicious point. And now this is a segue into where from the point of the storyline, after the teacher is approached by the student approaches the teacher, what happens? Teaching takes place, yeah. Teacher starts teaching takes place. So this is that's why this particular chapter is seen as a very, as the very beginning of the teaching. Although we have been kind of coming, there was already a question and answer between Shaunaka and Angiras earlier. And so that teaching is going on. But it's like a story within a story, you see. It's very exciting. So Shaunaka is telling this whole story of Para and Apara Vidya, and he's already started the teaching and talked about the spider and the various ways in which, how this is, the various ways in which the apparent world is non-separate from its cause. Talked also about that it is not an object to be seen, yattad adreshyam, agrahyam, etc. All that. And then talked also about how this knowledge is only gained by going to the teacher. Now, this teaching is coming after that point in the story, which means that even though the teaching commenced long before this, there is still a certain seriousness to the text that, that the verses just have gained. Not from the fact that these verses are more important than other verses, these mantras are more important. No. But from the standpoint of the steadiness in the student's mind, there is a certain honing in, there is a certain seriousness. And it is also, unfortunately, and I must mention this, the time where people feel like running away. This is the time where the most attrition takes place. Yeah. Because, there is a certain, either because, I don't know why, but maybe there is a certain complacency to this understanding, like, oh, I know this, yeah, we've studied this before, yeah, more of the same, yeah. So this yeah syndrome takes place, because of which the student becomes a yo-yo, and so that could be that. Or it could be that there is a certain ahankara that comes out, resistance, fear of going deeper, or fear of not understanding it, whatever it is. Even in the place like, where they do these 3-year courses, Rishikesh, Anekatti, etc., there, this is the time I have seen where people just drop out, even from a place where they cannot really leave. Where will they go? To Nilgiris and back. That's all. But even at this time is when there is a lot of possibilities of distraction, because that is unavoidable. Whenever there is a kind of a tunneling into the knowledge, that is the opposite effect is there. So why are we talking about this? To be aware. Yeah. To be self-aware. That if suddenly you don't feel like coming to class, then it's not just you. See, that's a good thing. And if suddenly there are certain resistances, fears and all coming up, it's okay, just stay with it. So this is the time to have the staying power. Yeah. This is the time to come to extra classes. And just for that, we had planned this Thanksgiving retreat. Just because we are starting this. So starting this Thursday, on this, you can put up the schedule here, on there later.
It's only going to be on live stream.
Yeah, it's only going to be on live stream, but the schedule you can get from here. And so it's only going to be on live stream. That's what we said last time also, but this time we mean it. And so we hope that live stream will work properly and give it all good prayers. And so that's why the second chapter has got a certain depth to it and a seriousness. And what are the things that we can look forward to as we open the pages of this chapter? One thing is we can look forward to is a few more technical terms. Yeah. And the technical terms are important because they are pedagogical tools. They will be introduced in Sanskrit and explained in English. So you have the best of both the worlds. The term will be introduced in Sanskrit and explained in English. So the technical terms are part of the pedagogical process of internalizing this knowledge, and they are all the various teaching devices. And here again one can kind of go off. Go off means stop listening, because one may start to think, I don't want to be a teacher, so why should I study this in depth? Just because they are talking about teaching devices, it's not because you have to teach. Even if you don't want to teach, this is the way one learns. This is the way you learn. Even if you never want to be a teacher, you still learn in this way, because this is how the knowledge is internalized. So that's one thing we can look forward to. The second thing we can look for, and there are some wonderful terms that are going to be introduced. Lakshana is going to come of both kinds, Tatastha and Swarupa. We already know that. See how easy it is, technical terms. And the other one is a little bit of a bear in the beginning, but it becomes like a teddy afterwards. And what is that? No, that is all coming in Tatastha and Swarupa. Second term that we can look forward to listening and understanding is called Badhayam Samanadhikaranyam. Little bit of a bear, but you don't have to worry about it right away. And a few other things in terms of honing in. See, we know, by now we know that all this has come from the Atma. All this has come from that Chaitanya, that consciousness which is free of everything. We know that much. But here this knowledge is honing into those small areas of the brain where there are still crevices of doubt and where where we didn't even know that there was a doubt. So it goes deeper and then just, swishes away with a little broom of the mantras in the second chapter. So it's not that anything new other than what you already know is being taught, which is why again the complacency can set in, because I feel like I already know this. But this is kind of very, very sukshma, sushira, very tiny, and makes a big difference because one can go thinking something. Even though one knows everything is, come from that one thing, but how has it come? What is this coming? And what is this going? And what is the nature of that which has come? How is that, how is that differentiated from that from which it has come? What is the separating factor between that which has come and that which is the origin? And what sustains it? What upholds it? And all these small, small things which one is not clear about. Because that is how Ajnanam has a staying power, not through big ways, through small, subtle ways, where one can know generally speaking, but specifically when asked the question, even when one asks oneself the question, why is it not a matter of experience? Why is it a matter of knowing? What is this Brahman which is myself and which is also the world and which is also the creator? How can it be all three and not be anything? All these subtle ways are going to be, lit up with the mantras which light up this entire, chapter. The same mantras are going to bless the mind, and all the cobwebs therein are going to go. Yeah. This is the phala, the fruit, the blessing of listening to this chapter. So let us chant the first verse on this note. Tadetat satyam yatha sudiptat pavakad visfulingaha sahasrashah prabhavante sarupaha tathaksharad vividha saumya bhavaha prajayante tatra chaivapi yanti tadetat satyam yatha sudiptat pavakad visfulingaha sahasrashah prabhavante sarupaha tathaksharad vividha saumya bhavaha prajayante tatra chaivapi yanti Some of you are saying Saumya. It's not Saumya, it is Somya. Yeah, Somya Bhava. Yeah, not Au, O. Okay? Yeah. So, in fact, the way it starts, Tadetat satyam. Where have we encountered this before? Huh? Kathopanishad? Bhagavad Gita?
Must be in here too.
Mundakopanishad? Mandukya Brihadaranyaka
Today that's a
Tadetat satyam Kathopanishad? Which verse? Which mantra? I'm being very optimistic. Well, this is why the seriousness. Huh?
First chapter, the second.
Yeah. This is why the seriousness which I talked about earlier in the introduction is needed. Because I want to direct your attention to mantra number, mantra number 1, 2. Look at the mantra number 1, 2 and look at the first word there. 1, 2. No, 2, 1, 2, 1, sorry. 2, 1. Look at mantra number 2, 1. Second khanda, first mantra. And look at the first word there. What is that word?
That's the one we're just doing. I'm sorry, Oh. One.
First mundaka, second khanda.
Satyam mantreshu.
Tadetat satyam. What is here now? Read the same thing again.
Tadetat satyam.
Do you see why I said?
Yes.
The complacency can set in. And why does it use tadetat satyam?
That's what satyam.
Yeah, but there also it was tadetat satyam.
Is this. No?
What does it say there? Tadetat satyam mantreshu karmani kavayo yani apashyan tani taretayam bahuda santathani tani acharatha niyatam satyakamaha eshavah panthaha sukritasya loke. So what was that talking about? What was the first portion? The first mundaka was talking about what? Who knew there would be a quiz, huh? Who knew?
The total frustration and fruitlessness of activity.
Absolutely. Shabash. Very good. So the total frustration of following only the first portion of the Veda as the be all and end all of one's life. This is what was talked about. Remember?
Yes.
Say yes even if you don't. Yeah, so we can move along. Yeah. So this is what was talked about. About how the whole plava, the raft made up of karma phala and nailed in with little bit of punya was not enough to cross over the robust ocean of samsara. This is what this whole thing was. And started with tadetat satyam mantreshu. This is what the kavis saw in the mantras. And what did they see in the mantras? Yani apashyan, those they saw. And then they saw various acts of behavior in concordance to the Vedas and the Vedic injunctions and the mandates, the prohibitions, the negations, everything they saw. And then what happened as a result? And they said, this is the way to get punya. Eshavah panthaha. If you want sukruta, if you want all the various lokas, this is your path. This is the way to go about it. That is what number 2, 1 or 1, 2, whatever it was. 1, 2, 1. Yeah, 1, 2, 1 says that. So I was right. It was either 2, 1 or 1, 2 both. So this is what it said. That if you really want karma phala and if you want the various lokas that are there as a, what's its name? Result of the karma phalas, this is your marga. This is the path that you will take. This is what they were told. It's just like these are the various routes to the various lokas. Lokas means various, better than the earth, a little more better. And in some other places you have free music concerts. Here you have to pay, if you want to go to a game, duck game or whatever, There you have to buy a ticket. There it will be free sports, free concert, free everything. Correct? So this is what was told. It's just like when sometimes you give money in charity, like these temple fundraisers. You go to a temple fundraiser, they have various levels of giving. Correct? In any church fundraiser. Supposing you give $10,000, then you get a free pass to everything that the church sponsors, which would cost other people money, but for you it is free. 10,000, same thing in the temple. Plus you get, in the temple they have a little more, colorful things. Plus you get a sari worn by the goddess if you give to the temple fundraiser. Blessing, my goodness, Plus you get some, maybe 2 free pujas on your birthdays, correct? Or maybe 4, because it's $10,000, it's a lot. Annual commitment, $10,000 means these are the things that are freebies included. Why? Because you want to encourage people to give. Then $5,000, only 2 pujas. Maybe the blouse worn by the goddess comes, sari doesn't come. So, and maybe the 10,000 you get even a piece of jewelry and the sari. And maybe 5,000 you get just a sari or a cotton sari, not a silk one. Like this there are. And then 2,500. And then 1,500, 1,500, and then finally $10 you get free tirtha, drop of water put in the palm. That's about it. So there are all these incentives, and the incentives are commensurating with the amount that is given. Similarly here, how much punya you do, you get bracketed into that particular loka package. Same thing. Here you do the charity, only difference is, in the temple fundraiser, you do the charity, here you are rewarded right here. In this kind of punya earning through the Vedas, what happens? You do the punya here and you get the rewards. Totally based on Shraddha. Somewhere else you get the rewards, you go to various lokas, sip various cups of tea, and then hobnob with the divinities there, the celestial beings. And then you come back, because come back you will, it has shown all this. So then this is also described with the words tadetat satyam. Why? Because it is coming for 2 reasons. Because it is coming from the infallible Vedas. And what the Veda says is true. It's very true. It is Satyam alone. But how do I know that I'll get a nice little, upgraded to first class after I die, after this body dies away? How do I know that? Through Shraddha. That is the way. It cannot be disproved. Nobody can say, don't read the first portion of the Mundakopanishad, that is all fraud. Actually, there is just a sea of nothingness in which you swim in a hammock of nothingness. Nobody has come back and said that. So therefore, it is true. It's based on the belief of the person who has Shraddha towards the Veda, and who says, this is here to help me, this is here to comfort me, and so this is definitely true. Tadetat satyam. And what is this that is satyam? That if you do this, you will get this loka. Who is it attracting? The people who want those various packages, heavenly tours, This is who it is attracting. And here also, tadetat satyam. How many satyams are there? 1. Then how come it is saying 2? Without shame, just in the next chapter it is saying again shamelessly, what is wrong with this Upanishad? Nothing. Yeah. That is Satyam on the relative level, on the Vyavaharika level, on the level where the ignorance is kept going. That is indeed Satyam. Tadetat Satyam. What? That the mantras are made for my benefit. Who? Who is talking? The ignorant one is talking. Oh, through these karmas I get to go places. Oh, through these karmas I get to shake hands with Indra. Maybe if there's a lot of punya, give him a hug also. And sit close to Bhagavan, do this, do that, and go to Brahmaloka, sit on cloud 9 and be taught Mundakopanishad by Lord Brahmaji. All these fancies, the otherworldly fancies, are fulfilled for whom? The one who is fanciful, full of fancies, not fulfilled by fancy, full of fancies. Who is full of fancies? The one who has kama. So many kamas that they don't know what to do. They have to get to work to start fulfilling the kama from the womb itself. They will tell the mother, eat this, because that's why the mother has the mother-to-be has all these cravings. Yeah. The mother, which is the mother-to-be, never liked anything, all these things. Never liked all these, whatever things. And we say that the child starts to first fulfill its, embryotic fancies through the body of the mother. Like even it is possessing the mother and says, get that. Oh, but I don't like it. No, now you do. Get that. Eat this. Go here. And so all these cravings, this baby Jiva in the form of this baby, full-fledged Jiva, because it is commanding the mother. It is giving one kick and making the mother do things that she would have never done. And so these kamas start to fulfill themselves even before the birth actually takes place. How strange. And the kamas, the fancies keep burgeoning, going on and on and on and on and on. Never-ending fancies. And then what? Therefore the Veda has to come and say, let me tell you a secret. This is the truth. If you want to fulfill these fancies, this is the only way, because otherwise you'll just get into a lot of adharmic situations. Follow the dharma. Use these various rituals. At least it will keep you in prayer. It will keep you non-complaining. Because, when you're, trying to make bricks in this kind of weather, and hoping them to dry also, putting them on the roof and hoping them to dry. In this kind of weather, the brick itself will become a living brick, because it will start to grow all kinds of things. It will become a host for various, sthavaras to find refuge on this little clay, whatever they think. They think it's a pot. And so, therefore, the person is kept going from ritual to ritual, so busy that there is no time to mourn and to get into wrong situations. So tadetat satyam. So on the relative vyavaharika transactional level, this alone is true because that's all they can see. Right now they can only see means and ends. What is the end? What I want, kama. And then in order to have kama, in order to fulfill the kama, I need what? What do I need to fulfill the kama? Karma. And what is this kama, karma, marriage? Because of avidya. So from the standpoint of avidya, that was satyam, because that's where they are. That's where they are, and that is what rings true. Because if you talk to them about leaving the desires, they will leave you. That's what they will do. They're not going to say, oh, this is another way, this is the permanent way. They are not ready. They're not there yet. One is not there yet. So the first portion of the Veda attracts the people as the true way for those who have all these fancies, clamoring to be fulfilled. But that was Zen. This is Tao. What is this? This is also Tadetat Satyam. But what has it come after? After showing all the limitations of the first portion of the Veda, the frustration of this kama, karma, avidya cycle, which keeps reproducing itself not only in this life, but life after life after life after life after life after life, infinitely regressing. And then this frustration has to be ended by what? By getting nirveda, getting a certain objectivity from all these kama, karma, foothold, from the hold of this kama and karma, one regains a certain objectivity and sees that the means and end do not match. The karma, yes, it's fulfilling the kama, but the kama is so much that no matter how much karma you do, the kama is not fulfilled. And if the karma is not fulfilling the kama must be for something other than what the karma can do. Here the limitations of karma are pointed out, because the kama must be, the desire must be for something other than what I can manufacture, other than what I can, conjure up through my own powers, through my own actions. So then what? Then there is a brief but strong state of helplessness. And that state of helplessness, one is helped to by approaching the Guru. How to approach the Guru, why to approach the Guru, all these step-by-step ABCs were given. Finally, to come to the conclusion here, which is actually a very interesting opening. The opening is made with the conclusion. Tad etad satyam. This alone is sat. This alone is true, both. This alone is. This alone is as it is. What about that? That was then, this is now. That was when you were at a different place. Same thing happens in a different, when the child is 2 years old and does not understand why it cannot have candy just before going to sleep. Because the brain is not developed enough to understand that. And if the father starts to lecture, you'll get a sugar high. And that sugar high means that you'll start acting out. And then you'll make yourself more tired, because then you get a sugar low. And then your, sleep will be peppered by nightmares, because of eating sugar at night. All these things, if the father starts to quote scientific studies on the effect of sugar pre-sleep on the body, what will the child do? It will not understand. It will just be very helpless. The tantrums will not cease. And so the mothers are a little more, what's the word for it? A little more experienced in this regard. And what do? The mothers generally in India anyway, I don't know what the thing will do. They'll say, shoo. They'll hide the candy, put it in the sleeve. Child doesn't know. Say, shoo, what happened? The crow took it away. Yeah. The crow took it away. Oh, but I want to go to the true. Yeah, it is dark. Where we do? Crow is also dark. Night is also dark. Where are we going to go in search of the crow? You sleep now. In the morning, we'll go after that crow and say, bad crow. And then, we'll get your candy back from it. You may not want to eat it afterwards, but nonetheless, we'll get this candy back from this bad crow, and we'll teach it a lesson not to ever take away your candy. Correct? So this works effectively for from about 14 months onwards to 2.5 years sometimes, maybe even 3. Then the brain is developing, the child knows. And then at 5-year-old, you try the same explanation. Crow took it. The child will say, come on, mom, I'm not 2 anymore. What are you trying to do to me? You're trying to fob me off an explanation that even I know is not true. Same thing, like Santa Claus. Milk and cookie, milk and cookie, milk and cookie, milk and cookie. How long? After a while, the child knows that this is just a cultural myth to bring some excitement and element of Bhagavan into it, that Bhagavan gave the present. That is how the whole idea is. So similarly here, that was then. That was when the jiva was clamoring like a 2-year-old for wanting the sweet or whatever the sweet represents. Sweet karma phala. That is what it wanted to suck on because it's addicted to that. That was its pacifier. And then the Veda has a certain method of dealing with that jiva, making it busy so that it forgets the kama, all these ways. That is also true, because that is the way. Is it true that the kaka, the crow took away the sweet? No, that's not true. But it is true that this methodology quietened down the infant, the toddler. Correct? That is true. And so that is also true. This, however, is not geared for the infantile kamas or the infantile jiva with the kamas. This is for the person who has approached the teacher and is wanting the knowledge. So therefore, tadetat satyam. This is really the truth. This is on the level of the absolute. That was on the level of the relative, even though both were mentioned at the same time, in the same way. Not at the same time, in different... same time in the sense that was also at the beginning. This is also at the beginning of the chapter. So they were mentioned at a similar juncture, but the meaning is very different. Tadetat satyam. Here, what is going to be described is the nature of the self. Tadetat satyam. This is indeed true. This is indeed sat. Sat means what? That which is existent, that which is non-negatable. The other one can be negated. When? In the light of this one. Please understand. So when the child grows to be 5, it negates that explanation. It says it no longer is true. You have to think of something else now. Yeah, you have to tell me the truth. And at 5, perhaps the child, some children are able to grasp that, if you eat this, it's not good for health. Okay, I don't like it, but I'll take this explanation. So here too, this is geared towards the adult who has already been through that process of childhood, been through the tantrums, been through the whole, resolving the inner child, been through going and seeking the highest form of teaching, and then coming down and calming down and sitting down for the teaching. This is who it is directed to. So do you see the difference between that tadetat satyam and this tadetat satyam? Yeah. Sky and heaven and earth difference. Big difference. So now here it says tadetat satyam. So this, what is being told not only here, but in the whole, khanda. This is what? It is an opening thing. The conclusion is made to be the opening thing. Tadetat satyam. What is this satyam? Yatha, just as sudiptat pavakat. Pavaka means, pavaka means what? Fire. Pavaka means fire. Pu means to purify. Pu plus aka. Aka is the agent. Anything that you want to make it into an agent noun, you add aka. Actually it is null, but it becomes aka. Yeah. And it becomes aka. 711, I think. Yeah. So pu is the word. Punati, purifies. Pu is the word. Pu plus aka. This aka become, because it is null, the na is there, it takes vriddhi, adi vriddhi. So it becomes, pu becomes, what is the vriddhi for u?
No, u. Vriddhi, ow.
Ow. Pu becomes?
Ow. Ow.
Ha. Pu becomes pau. Pau plus aka, another sandhi takes place. Ayava sandhi, pavaka. Clean, very beautiful. Pavaka means fire, the agent that purifies, that which purifies. That is the fire, purifies everything. You put all the germy, bacterial vegetables in a little water, put it on the fire, all the bacteria die, correct? Yeah, this is what it is. It purifies whatever you put into it. So, yatha, just as pavakat, from this purifying fire, what kind of fire? There is a word that qualifies the fire, sudiptat. From a fire that is brightly lit. Brightly lit. So, means sushtu, deeptat. From a well lit, brightly lit fire. Yatha, just as from a brightly lit fire, visphulingaha. Visphulingaha. Sphulinga would have been enough, but visphu means many. Sphulinga means sparks. Visphulinga also sparks. Many sparks, because it's in plural. Visphulingaha, just as many sparks ensue forth, that we have to add, from the fire which is well lit. Sahasrashaha. How many of them? Thousands of them. This shaha means thousands. Sahasrashaha. Shatashaha. So thousands and thousands. Sahasrashaha prabhavante. Prabhavanti, but anyhow, Chandasam. Prabhavante means they come into being. Each one has a trajectory. Each one was not there before, separate from the fire. Each one comes out of the fire properly at the proper time, according to its, trajectory. And then what? Each one, when it goes out, where does it go? Goes back to that same source of that well-lit fire, goes back to that fire. Because each one is just like the fire. Because it has the heat and the light which are intrinsic to the fire. So if one of the visphulingas, the sparks come and touch, you feel the heat, you see the light, correct? Sometimes it sears a hole also in the cloth. Incense stick or something, if you're just doing, it happens. So therefore, just like all these visphulingas, prabhavante, they come out, sarupaha, means they are the same as the fire, they have the same definition as the fire. They have the same, characteristics of the fire. They have the same nature of the fire. Tatha, similarly, aksharat. What is akshara?
That which doesn't change, decline.
Yeah, that which does not decline. A name that is used by the Mundaka for Brahman, akshara. Yaya aksharam adhigamyate. That name that is talked about for Bhagavan, for Brahman. Tatha aksharat, from this Bhagavan, from this Jagat Karanam, from this Brahman, from this Brahma, what is happening? Tatha aksharat vividhaha. Vividhaha means various, many and varied. Vividhaha bhavaha, existences. Various and many and varied forms of existence arise, as it were, from this single, what? Not flame here. From what? Akshara. From this consciousness, from this Bhagavan, from this, Jagat Karanam. So in this Jagat, this Jagat is non-separate from a cause. And that cause sustains this Jagat, just like the fire sustains the many and varied, visphulingas, sparks. And those sparks come and join the fire, and after they are out, because the light and the heat remains with the fire, only the sparkiness is extinguished. The coming and going is purely incidental here, because the fire neither comes nor goes. It is blazing forth. But this little spark has its own little life, and then when it leaves the life, when it was alive, it was sustained by the fire. But before it came into being, it was sustained by the fire. And after it goes out also, it goes back into the fire. Figuratively speaking, it is non-separate from the fire. Similarly here, from this akshara, all the bhavaha, bhavati iti bhavaha, that which, those which are, existent. So all the existent things, all the sats came out. Sats? Oh, how many sats? All the forms which are really just that existence alone, all the forms of sat come out from this one sat which is akshara, one chit which is akshara. Oh, Somya. Somya means, oh dear one. Oh dear one. Who is being addressed here? Who is the student? Ayyo. Angiras is the student? Who is the student? In the Upanishad. You right now, but in the Upanishad, who is the student? Shaunaka. Yeah, these are things we have to, brush upon. Shaunaka is the student. Who is the teacher? Ah, got it now. Good. Just like you'll never forget who wrote Vedanta Dindiva. Who wrote? Ah, Nrisimha Bharati. One month I told them who wrote, Next month I asked who wrote and nobody remembered. I said, okay, we are going to leave, stop the class and then, next time when I come back we'll do. Then after that no one forgot. So, certain names, it's just because it is the part of the story. So, Shaunaka is being called as Somya. See, if this word Somya hadn't come, we don't have to worry about remembering Shaunaka's name. So, I'm not interested in keeping on giving quizzes. You think I have no other work. No, I am not interested in that at all. But because the name has come, Soumya, who is being addressed as Soumya?
The student.
Who is the student? And naturally the word comes. Because this is bringing that whole, that connection between the first and the second thing. And who is addressing? Teacher is talking. Angiras is talking, addressing Shaunaka. And Shaunaka is being called, oh dear one, because he is dear to the teacher. And he has excelled himself because why is the student dear to the teacher? Every student is dear to the teacher. The dearness comes from the qualifications. That's all it is. So here is a student who has excelled himself in all the qualifications, approached the teacher the right way, asked the correct questions, and got rewarded not only by the teachings, but also being called dear one. Yeah. So, oh dear one, just like the sparks that fly off from the fire are non-separate from the fire. So too from this akshara, vividhaha bhavaha, various forms of existence come into being, so to speak. But they are already their being is non-separate from this being. Correct? Yeah. So the word come into being is as though. And so various forms and names come into being, bhavaha, various existences come into being. And then what? Tatha, prajayante. So they are also properly born. Properly born means what? How can you be improperly born? Meaning none of them were born by C-section. They were all natural, they had all natural births. Is that what we are talking about? No. According to their trajectory. Like the spark, the divi from the fire, from the well-lit fire, the sparks had their own trajectory where they would fly off. One would fly off in the northern direction, became a sannyasi. One flew off into the west, went to America, and one went to the south, maybe went to Australia, and then one went to east. Like this, so many sparks had different trajectory. So too the jivas here, bhavaha means jivas. The jivas here have various karmic trajectories. So therefore jayante would have been enough, but here it is called prajayante, prakarshena jayante, meaning they are born with a plan. This is a planned birth for this existence which has no birth. But this Sat which has no birth has as though taken a planned name and a planned form. One bhava is called Subbu, another one is called Govinda, third one is called Yajnadatta, fourth one is called John, fifth one is called Robert. So like this, so many names. And then, there is a plan for Robert. There is a plan for Yajnadatta, and there is a plan for Yajnadatta to migrate to United States and to open a company and hire Robert. That is also there. You know, there is a karmic trajectory. Correct? And then John comes and works for them, or John is an investor in that company. And then all the things that are marketed are exported back to India, let us say, handled by Subbu and Govinda. That is also the plan. All these things are just perfectly planned. Every bhava is a piece of this puzzle which is called karma. Gahana karmano gatihi. So this is how prajayante. And then what? Tatra means there itself. You know, yatra prajayante, tatraiva. The evakara must be there. Tatraiva, yeah. Tatraiva, the evakara means yatra was not mentioned. From where they prajayante, there alone, tatraiva, they apiyanti. They prajayante and apiyanti from the same place. But what is apiyanti? They go back. They resolve. They resolve means what? Everybody who dies does not resolve into Brahman. They leave the body behind. Body is not Brahman. Yeah. What was in the body is Brahman. And it goes back to Brahman. Mind is not Brahman. Like this. So we have to see what is it that resolves. That which was never separate from Brahman resolves as it were into Brahman. The rest of it is just riffraff, fanfare, frills. That's all it is. So Brahman plus name and form. So this is what the verse means. We'll see this in more detail after a 2-minute, 3-minute break.
Laurie is saying
Oh.
she's back from New York and much has happened.
Mm.
I ask Luigi quickly about the shopping list?
That's all we are talking about. Come.
That's all we talk about these days. For 3 days.
How many people for breakfast?
8 and 9, but that'd be toasted and then half a bagel. If they eat a whole bagel, Swami Ji, it's like 6
Okay.
pieces of bread. I mean, we can get more, but
At 50.
okay.
Yeah. 3 more.
Okay.
Yeah. Not right things.
There's nothings in potato starch, but they're wheat food.
Gluten-free crackers, butter, marmalade.
Well, the marmalade doesn't have to come on.
Yeah, it can come.
Okay.
It's very English. I like that. Yeah. Peanut butter do we need?
I don't know.
Because if there is oats, you don't need peanut butter.
Okay,
That you
of
can
course,
cut out.
scratch peanut.
Cereal, milk, cheeses,
And the cheese is
raisins,
trying.
fruits.
And fruits, yeah.
Yeah, just leave the fruit. They can
Yeah.
just take it. Just leave fruit permanently in a basket. Let them
People
grab
take
it
just
and
like
they can
it. Okay.
get a knife if they want to cut it for themselves.
Okay.
Huh? Yeah. Cereal oats. Yeah, that's enough.
No.
With some cheese.
Yeah, cheese
Oh,
is
cheese
normal.
is there. Yes, perfect. That's all we need.
Oh, and then some coffee, I didn't think. We
Yeah,
need
get some coffee.
And some tea bags. I
Yeah.
can pick up at Trader Joe's. We get
Do
one.
we
pack.
have coffee bags?
Oh, we can look.
Yeah, just get a coffee bag. They
Okay.
can put the milk in.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they want special ground coffee, let them drink it at home and come.
Yep.
Here, just to wake up,
Coffee
they
bags.
can do
Sure.
that. Perfect.
Okay.
So Sheila is not here today?
She said, she wrote me and said she was coming, so.
Oh. Maybe she didn't make it to class, but she'll come afterwards.
Yeah. Laurie is saying that her father is back home again with her mother. He was left the memory care centre due to psychosis issues.
Oh dear.
Prayers are appreciated.
Yeah, we'll keep in the prayers. Poor thing. We'll pray for you, Laurie. I'll pray for you. Is the verse clear?
Yes, yes.
The verse is clear. Each and every word we have done? Yeah. So there is an opening bhashya. Just like I had an introduction, what is that? Adi Shankara also gives his own introduction. Let us see if they are similar. Aparavidyayaha sarvam karyam uktam sacha samsarah yat sarah yasmat मूलाद अक्षरात संभवति यस्मिंश्च प्रलीयते तत् अक्षरं पुरुषाख्यं सत्यं. Yeah. So he says, Aparavidyayaha sarvam karyam uktam. All the mal effects of aparavidya. What is aparavidya?
The knowledge of the finite.
Knowledge of the finite. Yeah. Not opposite. Knowledge of the finite. Knowledge of the relative. Paravidya, knowledge of the absolute. So aparavidya is the knowledge of the relative, and the disastrous effects of focusing on the relative without taking into consideration the absolute was already pointed out when in the previous adhyaya, in the previous khanda, in the previous section and chapter, the whole gamut of the wrong, even though he says effects, the horrific effects of focusing on the relative at the cost of the absolute were already uktam stated. And then what? Sacha, and that Purusha, which is the imperishable reality, the all-pervasive Bhagavan, that truth, that Satyam called Purusha, Purushakhyam, that Purushakhyam Satyam, that existent conscious being called Purusha, Sarvan Purayati iti, that which fills up everything, that existent conscious being called the Purusha was what? Was the imperishable, which is unchangeable, imperishable Akshara, and it is indeed the essence, Saraha. Yat, that which is the Purusha, Yat, which kind of Purusha we talked about, that which is the imperishable Akshara, and that which fills up everything, this, ultimate Purusha, which is Satyam, this conscious existent being, this alone is the truth. What? This is the Sara of Samsara. It is the Sara in Samsara. Very beautifully stated. See, he taught so well. First he said Samsara, he gave a little treatise on Samsara. He says it is Nissara, without Sara. Sara means the essence or the truth. And do you remember all those drastic things he said about Samsara? What did he say in that Pariksha Lokan Bhashya, which we just finished? He said it is just like the pith of the Kadali tree. Kadali means banana tree. And in the banana tree, the pith is not used for anything, and so the pith keeps on peeling infinitely. So the samsara is also like that. It is like the bubbles. It is like the, Marichi Udaka. It is like mirage oasis. It is like the bubbles. It is like all this foam on the surface of the water. It is really nothing. And after saying it is nothing, he doesn't want you to think that it is shunya. So he says that all this nothingness called samsara is upheld by that vastu, that thing alone, which is the only thing that qualifies, being called a thing. And that vastu is what? Purusha. That vastu is Purusha. And this vastu is what? Brahman, Jagat Karanam, Bhagavan. The word Purusha means Bhagavan here. So this Bhagavan is the essence of samsara. So when you say samsara, the sara here, although here, the meaning is different. Sara there means movement. Here, what does it mean? The essence. So the sara in samsara is Bhagavan. Very nice way to remember it. Yeah. The essence of samsara is Bhagavan. And what is the samsara? What are the things in samsara? They're just some things. That's why they have some. Yeah, it's just something or the other. And whose sara is Purusha. So this Akshara Purusha is the sara of samsara. This is the essence of this existence, which is called samsara, this life of becoming. And yasmat sambhavati, yasmat aksharat, from this akshara alone it comes into being. It springs forth. And then sambhavati, samyak bhavati. Sam is why? Why the sam? Huh? Yeah, why? Well comes out very well because it has its own planned trajectory. The karmic trajectory, that's why. And then praliyate. Not just liyate, praliyate. Yeah. Praliyate means comes back again with a plan. Even though sometimes, we read in the obituaries, untimely death. Lord Yama laughs when he reads the obituary. He says, in fact, I gave them 2 days extra. There is no untimely death. Because from the standpoint of the remaining jivas who miss this, person, and in the heads of these jivas there is an idea of what a life should be, how much a human life should be. Because these human jivas, not being happy with their life, they have researched how long the lifespan should be and how they can make it longer. And so, even somebody dies 101, they say untimely death, should have been living till 122. Before, see, this is all relative. Before, long ago, even like 50 years ago, people used to pass off in their 60s. Yeah, this lifespan was like that. 60, 70, if somebody lived, so long that you have lived. And so, and so 60s was not an untimely death at all, if person passed off in the 60s. But now everyone is living into their 80s, if not their 90s. So from that standpoint, because of the, advancement in the medical field, then we have expressions such as untimely death. You see? But here, praliyate means they all go back when planned. And Bhagavan is also allowing the scientific, innovations to keep the person here, because this is Bhagavan's plan also. Not that you are the one who has all these scientific innovations. It is Bhagavan. So how come Bhagavan has all these scientific innovations? He's allowing these innovations because in the Kali Yuga, the karmas are so many that within 60 years, it is impossible to exhaust the prarabdha karma. The karma that is allotted to one life. So the person has to be kept going, in with life support and with from artificial hair to artificial toes, everything, artificial knees, artificial teeth, artificial, everything. artificial lungs, artificial digestive system, everything. The person has to be kept going until 97, because then with great difficulty the prarabdha will exhaust. Plus at the same time, in Kali Yuga, the person has to be kept, wanting to live. Yeah. In Satya Yuga, they would say, okay, my time is up, I'm going in and just walking towards the Himalayas or whatever mountains they had at that time. So they would just walk off, finished. They were unafraid. They would say, okay, my time is done. They were close with all these, cycles, including their own cycle of life. That is what Adi Shankara did, even though he was born in Kali Yuga. He went off, he walked off somewhere. Just left footprints in the snow. That's all it is. So like this, people just do that. And now they don't do that, because appropriately that desire to keep living longer and longer is also, it was always there, but it is enhanced in Kali Yuga. And likewise, Bhagavan is allowing the scientific innovations. Why? So that people will exhaust their tons of karma in one life, because so much karma is there. That's just a joke. Anyhow, so then he says that, so this reality alone is Satyam alone, he says. Yasmin vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. Sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. Tat parasyaha brahma vidyayaha vishayah savaktavyaha iti uttarah grantah arabhyate. Yeah, so the subject matter of Paravidya, by which the unchanging Brahman is understood, was introduced earlier, where, in this Atyattad Adreshyam Agrahyam, that which is not graspable by any of the sense organs, etc., it was talked about. Yes, and knowing which everything is as well as known, that was also introduced, but now this vastu is being pointed out. That is what the Bhashya says. Yasmin vijñāte, knowing which everything is as well as known, was introduced through those various verses previously. But now, this parasya vidyayaha vishayaha savaktavyaha, because now we have to talk about the subject matter of the knowledge of Brahman. This has to be stated in detail so that the people get all this knowledge without any doubt or error. And so to point this out alone, this grantha, this booklet, this chapter is being commenced. And then I also want to point out, in addition to what Shankara is pointing out, that this vastu was pointed out by a process of negation. Is being pointed out through a process of negation. Not so much in this mantra, but in the others you will see. So not much by way of Adi Shankara's introduction. Why? Because he assumes that we have already remembered the first Tadetat Satyam, and we have also remembered all the verses from the first mantra, coming up to the climax of meeting the Guru and doing all this. And then now it is hunkering down for the knowledge with a great seriousness, and this is what is, being talked about. So let us read the Bhashya for the mantra itself. Yat paravidya vishayam karma phala lakshanam satyam tada apekshitam idam tu tad apekshikam tad apekshikam idantu Paravidya Vishayam Paramartha Sat Lakshanatvat. Yeah. So, in fact, this is the introduction which we have already seen. Yat Paravidya Vishayam, that which is, actually, see, there is a, it should be apara, correct? Because, see, this is, there is a blank in my book. There is not a, what does it say? Yad or yat? Yad. Yeah. Yad apara vidya vishayam. That's what it should be, because while repeating it, I didn't notice it, but now it doesn't make sense in terms of the meaning. Yad apara vidya vishayam, that which is the subject matter of the knowledge of the relative. And what is that? Karma phala lakshanam, that which is characterized by karma, karma phala, karma, karma phala, karma phala, karma, karma, karma phala. How karma phala can lead to karma? Because I don't accept it, so I do more karma. Karma, karma phala. This lakshana, this dance, song and dance of finite things gained by finite means called samsara. This karma phala lakshana, that which is characterized by the obsession with karma phala, satyam, that was also called satyam. But tad apekshikam, but that satyam is what? Apekshika nityam. Here comes the first technical word that I had promised. I did not want to end the class without completing the promise. Apekshita, apekshika. Apekshika means relative, perennial, relative. There are various kinds of truths or various kinds of nitya. Nitya means what? Eternal, infinite, unchanging. So one is called apekshika nityam. Same thing, apekshika satyam. Apekshika means that was then at this particular time, it is no longer applicable now. Purvatra siddham, like that sutra. It's no longer applicable now. Like, in Paninian sutras, you have a sutra and then the next one negates it. And so that means that it's only under certain conditions that this particular truth applies. Like the 2-year-old child who is crying for a, sugar fix when it's hungry. So the truth, what was the truth then? The crow took it away. That was the correct truth. At that point it applied because it did its job. But for the 10-year-old, if you tell that, it's not going to work, correct? So here it says, Yat aparavidya vishayam karma phala lakshanam tad apekshikam satyam tad satyam apekshikam. So that which was the subject matter of aparavidya, which is what? The knowledge of the relative do's and don'ts with certain relative ends in mind. That subject matter was called satyam then in a different context. And that context is called apekshika satyam. Apekshika satyam means a relative truth which applies for a particular time and space. Usually you see the word as apekshika nityam, a permanence that is relative. Like even the Vedas. The Vedas are permanent, but they are relative. Like even the 5 elements. They are permanent, but they are relative. And then there is pravaha nityam. Pravaha. Pravaha means that which comes with the flow of each cycle of creation. Pravaha nityatvam. Like which comes with each cycle of creation. Like the Veda or the means to ascertain this truth, Vedanta or any other name it may go by, in some other cycle of creation. So like this, there are 3 kinds of, the word nitya is or satya is used in 3 ways: apekshika, pravaha, and then absolute satyam. Absolute permanence, meaning there is no impermanence at all. So this is what is talked about here. Which kind of satyam is talked about here when you say tadetat satyam? Is it apekshika? Is it pravaha? Or is it unqualified satyam? It is unqualified satyam. It is nothing to do with anything else. So therefore, yatha sudiptat pavakat visphulingaha is before it says tadetat satyam. And so the tadetat satyam means not aparavidya vishayam, but paramarthika satyam. Idam tu. This, however, idam tu paravidya vishayam. This is paravidya, not aparavidya. This subject matter is connected to paravidya and it is qualified by paramartha sat lakshanatvat because it has all the characteristics of what? Paramarthika sat. This is what the whole thing is very beautiful. Paramarthika satyatvat, because this is aparavidya vishaya. Previously, that was also called sat. That sat is apekshikam. This sat is not apekshikam. This sat is unqualified sat. This is permanent. This is unchanging. This is paravidya, by which the akshara as Brahman, as Bhagavan is known. That vidya is, it characterizes that vidya. So therefore, this sat is actually describing the reality of what is, the reality of that existence. That's going to be talked about in the next sentence. Tad etat satyam yatha bhutam vidya vishayam avidya vishayatvat cha anritam itarat. Yeah. So this satyam, however, is yatha bhutam vidya vishayam. This is just as it is. Just as it is. Not as it is not, or not as it is, as it I want it to be, but as is. Objective, ultimate, absolute reality, which is the truth of oneself. That is what is being described. That limitless consciousness, which is the objective truth of oneself, is being elucidated here, which is what? Vidya Vishayam. This is the subject matter of knowledge. Atma Vidya Vishayam, you should have said, So, the subject matter of self-knowledge, or you can even if that is not intended, the subject matter of knowledge itself, meaning what? The subject matter of knowledge, meaning here we should say, what kind of knowledge? Knowledge itself gives something which is non-negatable. Correct? Mm-hmm. Knowledge means it should be objective. Jnanam means it should be non-negatable by any other means of knowledge, although that's how it is. So this knowledge delivered by Shabda Pramana, by this means of knowledge called Shabda, words of the Shastra, handled by the teacher, this non-negatable knowledge is what is talked about here. That is the Vidya Vishaya, that is the subject matter here. Na itarat, not anything else. Why? Avidya Vishayatvat anritam. Because the other thing, the domain, the other kinds of knowledges relative to this knowledge which is absolute or unreal, so to speak, anritam. They itarat means not anything else except this has the qualification of being called sad vidya. This is the vidya of sat, the vidya of that existence which is myself alone, the vidya of that consciousness. Everything else is, relatively speaking, relative, and they are asat, as good as non-existent. Because if you see the source from which everything comes and everything goes back into, then that's as good as non-existent. Meaning they don't have a separate existence other than Sat. They have a dependent existence on Sat. So everything else being Aparavidya Vishaya, Avidya is Aparavidya here. And so therefore we don't take it so seriously. Here when it says Tadetat Satyam, it really means Sat alone. Indeed, it means Sat. So that is what he's also remembering that the Tadetat Satyam went before. Yeah, so He's helping us to remember that. अत्यंत परोक्षत्वात् कथम नाम प्रत्यक्षवत् सत्यम अक्षरम प्रतिपद्येरन् इति दृष्टान्तम् आह अत्यंत परोक्षत्वात् कथम नाम प्रत्यक्षवत् सत्यम अक्षरम प्रतिपद्येरन् इति दृष्टान्तम् आह. So दृष्टान्तम् आह, let's take that first. Meaning this example has begun. The example is stated. What is this example that is stated? Aha means said. By who? The teacher. So the teacher takes recourse or takes resort in this example. Thinking what? Atyanta parokshatvat. Meaning, thinking that there is some feeling of remoteness with regard to Brahman. Paroksha. Another promised term. Technical term. Paroksha, remote. Pratyaksha, immediate. Yeah. So, atyanta parokshatvat, as though we have to add. So, because of this knowledge being perceived, the knowledge is not remote, because the knowledge is unfolding you as that limitless consciousness, which happens to be self-evident, which happens to be self-effulgent. The knowledge is not paroksha. The knowledge is not indirect. The knowledge is not remote. Paroksha means remote, paroksha means indirect. So the Brahman is not indirect. Is it indirect? No, it's the most direct thing. It is most directly experienced all the time. Here the person who is experiencing Brahman says how to experience Brahman. In fact, without experiencing Brahman, the person cannot even ask that question. Why? Because anything that the person experiences is Brahman. Experiencer is Brahman. Correct? And the process of experience is also Brahman. So between the experience and the experiencer, what is the distance? If the both happens to be I, there is no distance. Correct? Between the experience and the process of, between the experiencer and the process of the experience, what is the distance? No distance. Between the subject and the object of experience, what is the distance? No distance. That is why Atma is called Anubhuti Swarupa. That which is in the form of Anubhava constantly is experienced. If there is something that is constantly experienced, it is Atma. And so this Atma, how can it ever be remote? How? It is impossible for this Atma to be removed, remote, or to be known indirectly. It's impossible. It is always here. It's always shining as Aham, Aham, Aham. Even when you say, I don't know, you are broadcasting knowledge. Knowledge of your ignorance. This is fantastic. This is fantastic. How do you know? I know. I know because I know. I know that I know. I know that I don't know. I know that I am yet to know. I know that I know, but I am not clear about this. I know, but I don't want to know. All this is within the gamut of this limitless Sat, this consciousness. So how can it ever be paroksha? That to atyanta parokshatvat, meaning extremely removed. It is not removed. You know, even space, which is sometimes compared to Atma, space is compared to Atma because Atma is space-like, all pervasive. It is everywhere, it is everything. And so we have, even in space can be divided. Correct? Room space, hall space, and our part space, head space. Yeah. Udara, Udara Akasha, stomach space. Yeah. Sometimes it talks, the stomach space talks, it growls. It says, feed me now. So, stomach space, pot space, even this is divided. And the ironic thing, very interesting thing, and the ironic thing is that what is the dividing factor? Think about this, this is fascinating. What is the dividing factor between one space and another space?
What?
It is space, correct? Space alone is called hall space, let's say, and the hall space is attached next to a small room for smaller meetings. One big hall is there for large gatherings, weddings, etc. And then they have a smaller ante room which is attached. So what is the separating factor between that space, hall space, and room space? Space, correct? Very interesting. Because if there was no space dividing the spaces in between, we would not perceive the spaces in between. This is fascinating. This is so exciting. This is worth waking up in the morning. You know, this is so fascinating. This is what I thought when I woke up today. I said, think about the spaces, and between the spaces there is space. That's why you say there are two different spaces. Head space, where nothing goes in, spaced out, head space and stomach space. What is the difference? How do you define head space? And how is it differentiated from stomach space? Because there is space in between the two of them. Space itself, when you talk about this so-called all-pervasive space, you find that it's not quite so all-pervasive, correct? From the standpoint of various spaces, and space itself becomes the dividing factor of these various spaces. It's fantastic. But here, what is going to divide Brahman? Who is the divider? Brahman. What is the division? Brahman. You can put a screen between one Brahman and another Brahman. The screen is also Brahman. Correct? That is not even the case. Here, everything is Brahman, Brahman, Brahman alone. And even at the relative level of Namarupas, what we see is only Brahman. Yeah. But, however, this is not understood. Why? Because the person has just come hot off the karma phala press. We still, pressed for karma phala as missing the karma phala. Oh, did I miss the boat to the lokas? He's lamenting once in a while. Correct? So this person is being told now that everything is you alone. So atyanta paroksha vastu. Because for this person, this Brahman is still so far removed. Has taken a leap of faith, has taken a chance, has encountered the Guru accidentally, was actually going to Amazon.com to buy something. But then happened upon this classroom in the terms of the online, what is that called? Retail therapy. Was wanting retail therapy, and then what happened? Got tailgated to this Brahman class. And actually enjoyed it because was not liking the retail therapy, was fed up of it, and somehow accidentally came, but still is somehow wondering, how do I access this Brahman? I know it is me, but how do I access it? Atyanta parokshatvat, from the perception of the newly minted Shishya. Correct? All shiny, like the coin. All shiny with Shama, dabbled in Dhamma, shiny with Shama, uparatified, titikshified. This is the student, and the student is just all shiny, minty, and the newly minted coin is sitting, and then in the form of the student is sitting, and then to such a student that remoteness has to be completely gotten rid of. Atyanta parokshatvat brahmanaha. What is done here? Atyanta parokshatvat katham nama. The teacher is thinking, how on earth, katham nama, pratyakshavat satyam aksharam pratipadyeran. How on earth are we to show this as though it is their own self? Thinking this, the teacher begins this verse. More about this tomorrow. Tomorrow is class, yes? Yes. Today afternoon is Bhagavad Gita, yes? Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadagya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Craig and Vasanti are back. Wonderful. I hope you had a good time in India. I hope you enjoyed your stay. Good to have you back. Yeah. I'll be in Saylorsburg in December. Maybe you can come if you have time during Christmas. From, I think the camp starts from 24th or something till New Year. If you can come, come. Yeah, it's very interesting. Wonderful. Excellent. Any questions are there? Yes, Dottie.
In the beginning, when we were talking about your the fire and the sparks and the trajectory, all according to a plan,
Yes.
and that plan influenced by as though Karmapala,
Yes.
and so the ability for choices
Mm-hmm.
have to do with what? Where is choice? Choice is. Where is choice?
Is there choice?
Apparently not, if
Uh-huh.
everything was already a planned trajectory.
There is choice. Because how did the planned trajectory come forward?
Previous choices.
Previous choices. What was the first choice?
Chicken and egg.
Yeah, don't ask. That's what it is. So the previous choices is what is bringing the situation right. The plan right now is due to previous choices. Who made those choices? I did. It's not that the neighbor did and I'm getting the choices. Very good question.
But it's all as though.
It's all as though.
So
Yeah.
if I pretend that as though is non-existent,
Yeah. You don't have to pretend. It happens to be non-existent. Yeah. So, but for the time being, you can say that this is not having any effect on me. This is my karma phala, because the karma phala attacks the body, mind, and perhaps emotions. That's all the karma phala can do. It cannot attack you. Yeah. So the body malingers. Let it malinger. The body, all kinds of things happen to it. Every day, new things. Yeah. Every day, one new symptoms will come. And then you have to think about it. You have to Google it. You have to understand it. If you don't have health insurance. If you have health insurance, every day you're taking a trip to some clinic or the other. This is what happens, Either way, you're spending time, wondering what to do with this thing that you have to take care of. This is what this is what it does to this is what it does to the body, correct? And it can affect the mind, Tadetat Satyam. Where have we encountered this? Not in this Upanishad. So, it has affected the mind. This is karma phala, correct? Yeah, it can affect the senses. You can't smell anything, which in a way is good, and then you can't see anything. It can affect the senses. But if I am identified with all these things, then I will be affected. So as soon as I'm affected, I don't have to pretend. I just see the truth of this and withdraw from those identifications. This is what is the phala, the fruit of nididhyasana. Nididhyasana. This is what it is.
Vididhyasana?
Nididhyasana. Nididhyasana. So today I'm charging Harinder with the job of writing down all the new words we have done, define them, make some copies and bring them to class tomorrow. And this way we will keep and email it to them, and this way we'll keep adding to the vocabulary. So all the words today. Nididhyasana, aparoksha, paroksha, what else? One more thing came. Apekshika nitya, apekshika, pravaha nitya, apekshika nitya. So this way you will have your own Vedanta vocabulary. And writing it, defining it, and seeing it will bless you with the meaning in such a way that it will never be forgotten. Okay?
So back to the spark.
Back to the spark, yes. Part 2.
The practical application of that information is that in daily life, I watch.
In daily life, I watch. Yes. You watch what happens.
Because I am the observer.
You are the observer, yes.
And as soon, the very moment, I enter into what would be the plan trajectory, or making an assumption or a judgment or a conclusion,
Yeah. That too you watch.
No, well, yeah,
Yeah.
you better.
Yes.
So that's the practical application.
Ah,
Just that.
absolutely.
Okay.
And this is how you learn to be free. And you can, that doesn't mean you pretend, that you're not in denial. This is not a pretense. This is not a dissociation either. It's the burgeoning knowledge, it's the growing clarity that comes out of years of Shravanam. And what happens as a result of this is that, you go down that road and then you immediately say, no, I took the wrong turn. Back here, back to the observer, back to the one who is unaffected. That's not, when the mind starts engaging, the body starts engaging, I come back. That doesn't mean I stop taking care of the body. It needs things I have to, go places, take it places, whatever it is I have to do. So that is how one does.
And it's an as though one.
As though, yeah. One question online. Oh, it's not a question.
But that tendency to pretend, Swami.
Yeah, no problem. I will see you next month. Yeah, no problem. You can always access everything is going to be recorded on live stream. You can access it, and we may also bring out if the retreat, if we record everything, we may also bring out a CD. I'll give that to you. No problem. Have fun and do fun things for Thanksgiving. Yeah.
That tendency to pretend, Swami.
Yeah.
It's also a desire.
No, that is coming from not being able to be with oneself and be with the truth of what is. And all the unpleasant things are, that's why one goes into that la place where, what is that? One doesn't have to deal with unpleasant situations. That's what perhaps one did as a child. There were unpleasant situations that one did not want to deal with, and so the child learned to cope by dissociating. So it's a coping mechanism. Some people have this coping mechanism, some people mope, some people cope. That's all it is. So in either way, every coping mechanism is a kind of either dissociation or some distraction or food, eating its way out of the pain. So many ways there are of not facing the relative reality in the child's life. So, but now one is an adult. Now one can help oneself to seeing that those mechanisms are not needed. You have to be vigilant, you have to be kind, you have to be present, and not run away from that which is unpleasant. Yeah. Face it, yeah. Om Namah Shivaya.
Knowing is also that her brother is in intensive care,
Why?
but she doesn't feel any upset with all that is going on.
Oh, that's
Just
wonderful.
However she can.
That is wonderful.
She's growing.
I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you, so happy. This is wonderful. May this long continue. Oh.
Spark part 3. So, the reason for the metaphor, not the reason, but part of the metaphor is that this body's life.
Yes, exactly. It comes, it goes.
This body's life.
Yeah. Yes.
And it has a planned trajectory.
Right. It's fantastic. And we'll be seeing more of it tomorrow. It's not the Spark Part 4 we'll see tomorrow.
Okay.
It's not yet completely done. There's lots to look forward to. It's a fantastic thing. Yeah. There's one more page of Bhashya to look forward to. Oh. Sri Rama.